Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Gene DeFilippo, and welcome to this week's On the Fly podcast. Our guest this week is the very successful Chief Executive Officer of NACDA, Pat Manak. Pat, thanks so much for being with us this week.
Gene, it's great to be here. Appreciate the invite.
Pat, you've been with NACDA for nearly 3 decades now. You've held several different jobs. Congratulations to you on becoming the Chief Executive Officer on January 1st of 2023. Tell us about NACDA, what it stands for, and what NACDA does, and the important place it has in intercollegiate athletics.
Sure. Let me start, Gene, by thanking you and the folks at Playfly for the invite today. It's great to be with you, and always great to talk with you. In terms of NACDA, so NACDA is the National Association of Collegiate Directors of Athletics. So basically, we are a professional membership association for all college athletic directors and their administrators that report into the athletic director. Now, we don't do anything with coaches. So coaches have their own coaches associations, as most of us know. So we strictly work with the administration side of the athletic department. So our mission is education. We put on various workshops and conventions throughout the year to educate the folks in the industry on how to better do their jobs on a daily basis. And it could be anybody from an entry-level individual trying to work their way up to the chair, or it could be a well-polished athletic director who's been in the chair for a number of years. So our mission, like I said, is education, and it is our duty and responsibility to our membership to help them better prepare for the next steps in their careers.
Pat, how did NACDA get started, and when did it get started? I think a lot of people just seem to think that NACDA always existed, and that's really not the case.
Yeah, it's a great story, Gene, and one I'm very proud to be a part of. A gentleman that most of us know and are very dear to our hearts, the late Mr. Mike Cleary, back in the mid 1960s, was working at the NCAA under Walter Byers, the president of the NCAA at the time. And apparently President Byers approached Mike Cleary and said, hey, look, there seems to be a need and a want for an athletic directors group or association to be formed in this industry. And basically he said, hey, would you be interested in starting this and leading this group up? So at the time, back then, I mean, there was very few staff members on the staff at the NCAA. So Mike was fortunate enough at the time to be approached, and he said, hey, look, I'd be more than happy to start it under one stipulation. If it all goes well, I'd love to move it to Cleveland, Ohio, where I was born and raised and where I'd like to raise my children. So the story goes that the association was formed, and Mike was able to bring it to Cleveland, Ohio, and the rest was history. So the association was officially formed back in 1965, held its first convention in 1966 in Chicago with about 200 members at the time that were in attendance. So obviously it's grown to great lengths and great numbers in terms of memberships and reach at this point in time. But it all goes back to Mike Cleary's vision and his dedication and his love for the industry. And I'm a byproduct of being able to come up under his guidance and his mentorship. Mike and my uncle at the time were best friends, best high school friends. So I was introduced to Mike through my uncle, and fortunately Mike took me under his wing, allowed me to do an internship and kind of learn from him at the time, and kind of the rest was history. So been fortunate enough to be with the association for about 28 years now, and have worked my way up through, and very, very honored and humbled to be serving in the role I am right now.
Well said. Explain to some of the folks listening what groups will be at NACDA. There's 22,000 members, but what groups will be there? Will it be the fundraisers, the academic people? Who will be there, Pat?
So, Gene, in terms of the convention that you mentioned, so our convention will take place this June. It happens on an annual basis. It'll take place June 11th through the 14th down in Orlando at the World Center Marriott Resort, which is kind of our home away from home. We've held a number of conventions there in the past, so we're very familiar with the property, and the folks down there do a great job for us. So in terms of the attendance, we're looking at probably close to 7,000 individuals that will be in attendance. And the makeup of those 7,000 attendees will be anybody from the athletic director's chair all the way down to, like I said before, entry-level folks that are just currently making their way into the industry for the first time. So the way NACDA is structured in this regard is that we administer 18 affiliate associations. So every business unit that reports into the athletic director, we have a separate business unit or an association that we manage. So all of those folks will be in attendance. So it could be anything from marketing, licensing, development, business managers, event managers. Once again, anybody that is in the athletic department on the administration side should be, and hopefully will be down there at our convention.
Now, Pat, there's some important people that'll be there. There'll be, of course, a keynote speaker. There will be speakers that will speak to the entire group about different things. But I think it's important for people to know what the breakout sessions are like with all of those different groups, because they meet individually as well as a group for several presentations.
Yeah, that's a great point, Gene. And let me start by saying, let me back up a little bit. So the way our convention used to be laid out in the past is that it used to be kind of like a bell-shaped curve, where we'd have some of these affiliate associations that would meet on the front end. Then we would have the main couple of days in the middle where the athletic directors and a couple of our bigger associations would meet. And then we'd have some other associations that would meet on the back end. So all told, it was basically about a 7 to 10 day event. Well, last year was the first year that we brought everybody together under one roof. So all of the 18 affiliate associations are meeting at the same time and place as the athletic directors. So as you mentioned, there'll be various meetings throughout the course of those 4 days where all the different sectors will be able to meet. So the fundraising directors, the marketing directors, licensing, all of those different units will have separate meetings over the course of those 4 days. So all told, we're looking at probably close to 600 different educational sessions that'll be offered over the course of those days. And the nice thing about it is that if you are currently, let's say, a marketing director, and you might have an interest in compliance, well, you'll be able to set up and customize your own agenda for those days so that you can tap into the different meetings that are taking place in the different sectors of the groups that we manage. So once again, 600 educational sessions over the course of the 4 days. We have 3 featured sessions that you had mentioned before. So the first one, Charlie Baker, the new president of the NCAA, will be with us. So it'll be the first time that President Baker will be addressing the entire membership. And when I say that, it'll be the first time that he'll be able to address the Division I folks all the way down to the NAI and the junior college folks all in one room. So very excited about that. And then following that session, he has agreed to meet with the NACDA leadership. So there'll be about 40 individuals that have a closed door session with President Baker afterwards to kind of drill down into some of the issues that have been talked about and that he wants to embark upon. Another featured speaker that we'll have over the course of those days is Inky Johnson. Inky Johnson is a motivational speaker, a former football player at the University of Tennessee who's been speaking now for a number of years and has a great motivational message. So he'll be with us as well. And then the third featured speaker is we're still pursuing that one. So we hope to have that locked up here in probably the next week or so.
For all the young administrators out there, you really should save your pennies and make a commitment to go to NACDA, because it is really a great training time where you can meet other people, where you can learn from other people. I haven't been in NACDA for, well, I guess, 30 some years, Pat. I found that some of the best sessions that I had were one-on-ones with people that were down there. For example, I used to grab Jim Livengood, who was a director of athletics at Washington State, and said, Jim, how do you handle this particular problem? How do you handle this situation? And I did that with so many people that were in NACDA, and it gives you a real opportunity to do that. Pat, there's a lot more to NACDA than just the Super Bowl, the annual convention. Tell our listeners out there some of the other things that NACDA does during the rest of the year that are really, really helpful and educational for all people in college athletics.
Yeah, so Gene, as I mentioned, our mission is education. So it's always at the forefront of what we do. And we're constantly striving to put together, whether it's workshops or seminars or webinars or anything that we could educate and help our members out in terms of making them better at what they do. And I would say one thing I'll point out specifically, Gene, is that we instituted about 6 years ago a spring symposium. So back about 7 or 8 years ago, we really thought that we were doing a lot of work for everybody in the industry besides the athletic director. And it was kind of ironic at the time because we are an athletics directors association, but with all of those affiliate associations that we manage on a daily basis, we kind of felt like we were losing a little bit of touch with educating and really doing a lot for the athletic director themselves. So what we did is we created our spring symposium, and we thought, what better way to educate the leaders in our industry by tapping into the leaders that lead our country. So what we did is we tapped into the Air Force Academy, the Naval Academy, the Military Academy, and we've held a spring symposium each April for the last 6 years in conjunction with one of the military academies across the country, and have really been able to tap into some great leaders that have been able to speak directly one-on-one with the athletic directors. So this past April, just a few short weeks ago, we finished up our 6th annual spring symposium at West Point at the Military Academy. And we had about 170 athletic directors in attendance, nobody else, no media, no assistants, just strictly athletic directors. And it could be an athletic director from an FBS school, once again, all the way down to an NAI or a junior college school. So it's really a great opportunity for these folks to come together and be able to talk amongst themselves about the issues that are taking place in college athletics, and be able to kind of tap into, like I said before, some of the leaders of the institutions that lead our country.
You've been at many of those. I can tell our listeners out there that it is a great session, a lot of sharing, and a great deal of learning by everyone. Pat, earlier you mentioned the intern program that NACDA has started and the great success stories that have come from that internship program. In fact, you've got at least one athletic director that's come from the internship program. Tell us about the program and tell us about the development and the growth of people who have been interns at NACDA.
So, Gene, I'm really excited that you brought up the internship program. It's one of the things here at NACDA that we're very, very proud of. It started back in the mid to late 1980s, and since that time, we've had over 200 interns that have come through our doors. On our staff, almost half of our full-time staff are former interns. And there's two individuals who are now sitting ADs that have started their careers as interns here at NACDA. First one, Lee Reed at Georgetown. And then the second one, the newest one at the University of Maine, Jude Killey. So very, very proud of both of them and have watched their careers grow over the years and can't be more excited about what they're doing. And obviously the start they got it here at NACDA.
It's wonderful that not only is NACDA educating the different groups that are present on college athletics, but also providing opportunities for all people of color, people who are graduates, people who have been out of school for a while who want to come back and be an intern. You're giving all those people an opportunity, Pat. That's really great. One thing, Pat, that we're really, really proud of is the McClendon Scholarship. Can you talk a little bit about how the scholarship was started and where the monies go from the McClendon scholarships?
Yeah, Gene, the McClendon Foundation is something that we are really, really excited about here at NACDA. And it was started back in the day with Mike Cleary and his relationship with John McClendon, the pioneer of the fast break in basketball. And Mike was able to create the McClendon Scholarship Foundation to provide money to aspiring individuals that want to get into the industry. So over the course of the years, we've been able to provide a number of scholarships to these great young individuals to be able to not only come to the convention, but to be able to build on their career aspirations to get into this industry.
I'm so proud of NACDA's both inclusion and diversity. Mike Cleary was way ahead of his time. He did this years and years ago, and it's one of the really good things that, one of the many great things that NACDA provides. Pat, I understand that NACDA is now going to have two homes. The convention is going to have two homes instead of one. I'd like you to talk about that. And I'd also like you to talk about some of the new and innovative things that are going to take place at this year's convention in June in Orlando.
Sure. Let me start with the first question there, Gene. As I mentioned earlier, we have now moved our convention. We have condensed our convention to a 4-day event. So as you can imagine, pulling everybody together under one roof has been a little bit tricky over the years, but we have gotten to the point where we're able to continue hosting it under one roof in two cities. So last year was the first year that we did this in Las Vegas at Mandalay Bay. We were supposed to do it back in 2020, but obviously when COVID hit, we had to postpone it. So last year was the first year that we had this condensed format in Las Vegas. And then this year, obviously, we'll be down in Orlando. So moving forward, we will do a West Coast, East Coast type of rotation between Las Vegas and Orlando to be able to, once again, accommodate everybody under one roof and not have to put everybody at multiple hotels and bus people back and forth. So excited about that. So in terms of a couple of unique opportunities that we're doing this year for our attendees that we haven't done in the past is we have created some programming specifically around NIL, obviously the hot topic in our industry. So we have carved out 6 specific sessions on Tuesday to concentrate strictly on NIL. So folks will be able to pre-register for these, and they will be able to hear from industry experts and some of the companies out there that are directly impacting what folks are doing with the NIL topic that's going on. So we have also approached Abe Magcor at Sports Business Journal if he would put together some unique programming specific to Division I athletic directors. Obviously, we've tried to adhere to their wants and needs over the course of the years. And we really think that with Abe's experience and being able to tap into some of the industry experts that he's familiar with would really help the programming aspects of the convention agenda this year. So excited about that addition as well as the NIL programming.
In the past, NACDA has provided some sessions on finance and ways that athletic directors and young people can begin to invest their money and with the 401k or 403b. And I, in particular, found that very, very helpful as a young administrator, knowing that I needed to get involved in some kind of a retirement fund before I got too old.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Gene. And topics like that are always top of mind, and we're always trying to listen to our members and figure out exactly what the hot buttons are that folks are wanting to hear from. And that's the nice thing about having, the affiliate associations that we do under our umbrella. So to your point, Gene, the Business Managers Association, CABMA, addresses, specific topics like that on an annual basis. So once again, if you're coming to the convention, you'll be able to tap into any number of those sessions and really carve out specifically a customized agenda that would suit your wants and needs, whether it be a session like you talked about, retirement planning, or it could be something else that might interest you over in compliance or development or whatnot. So it's a really, really unique situation for folks, and we really hope that everybody takes the opportunity and takes advantage of this professional development opportunity.
I remember as an AD, Pat, that I would carve out my own system. Just because you're an athletic director doesn't mean that you have all the answers. It means you've got to keep learning. And I would go to a business session, and one on an academic session, one on what's new with development, another one with the business managers. And you can continue to grow if you really, really want to, and you can cross-train your people. We spend a lot of time with the fundraisers, for example, having them be over in marketing. We had the marketing people understanding what they could do and how they had to stay in compliance. So there's a lot of cross-training that takes place at this convention, and I think that's as important as anything.
Yeah, that's a great point, Gene. And I've mentioned the over 600 different educational sessions a couple of times, but I think one of the most important things about the convention is the networking that takes place outside of the educational sessions, whether it's in the lobbies, whether it's in the foyers, whether it's the one-on-one meetings like you mentioned. I mean, that's so important for our young administrators and even our seasoned veterans to be able to have one-on-one time with, whether it's an athletic director that they've wanted to get in touch with, or whether it's a individual that they might be pursuing for a job opportunity or whatnot. So it's not only those educational sessions that take place behind the closed doors. It's also all of the conversations and the networkings that take place in the lobbies and the foyers that really make this a unique convention.
Great point, Pat. And I remember as an associate athletic director and assistant athletic director, I always made plans prior to the convention to get 15 minutes with someone or 20 minutes with another person. You have to be prepared when you go there because people are being besieged with others. They're wanting to attend some of the convention program. So it would be wise for some of the veteran ADs to do it prior to the convention. Pat, we've always had some really some really fine awards, and they have been given to some of the top administrators in our country and those people who have been most active with NACDA. Can you tell us a little bit about some of those awards?
Yeah, obviously the biggest award that we give out on an annual basis is the Corbett Award. It's the highest award that an administrator could receive. And we're extremely excited to recognize Bill Bradshaw for his years of service in the industry. Bill's been a dedicated NACDA supporter over the years, and just really, really excited to be able to honor Bill for his career. So we'll do that prior to our featured session on Monday. So we'll do the Corbett Award we'll recognize our 28 Cushman and Wakefield Athletic Director of the Year award winners. So that'll take place on Monday prior to our featured session. And then on Tuesday, prior to President Baker speaking, we will honor our Hall of Fame recipients as well as our Directors Cup award recipients. And then the new award that we're excited about bringing to the table this year is the Robert Vecchione Corporate Partner Award. So this award was created this past year in recognition of Bob Vecchione, the most recent CEO who just retired at the end of this past year. Wanted to recognize Bob for all of his service to not only to NACDA, but Bob kind of grew up in the corporate sector, spent a lot of his years working for National Car Rental, and we just felt it was important to recognize folks in the corporate sector. We recognize so many individuals and athletic directors and administrators, but we thought that the corporate side was kind of lacking a little bit. So excited to roll out this award in Bob's name, and Learfield will be the inaugural recipient of the Robert Vecchione Corporate Partner Award this year. So that will also take place on Tuesday.
We're out of time with this week's podcast. I want to thank our guest, Pat Manak, for being with us. Pat, thank you. I'm your host, Gene DeFilippo. Thanks for your time this time, and we'll see you next time.